Hi guys, welcome and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Morella. As you guys all know, if you're new to my channel, all my channel talks about is how to relocate to Brazil, how to give birth in Brazil, how to change your visas, how to get apartment or accommodations, how to get your CPF, how to extend your visa, okay, I said how to extend your visa before, but how to do so much. And so all of these guys, if you've been looking for a page that does that, welcome and welcome to this channel, guys. That's all we talk about and do on this channel. Anyways, guys, today, as the thumbnail has told you, I'll be speaking about PhD in Brazil. Graças a Deus. Finally, I'm sure that's what some of you just said now. Finally, we're speaking about PhD. We're tired of hearing masters, blah, blah, blah. I know, guys. Today, we're going to be speaking about PhD in Brazil. PhD is in topic. This one is for people that are done with their masters and they intend to further to become a doctor. Doctorate, please, not doctor medicine. Okay, they want to further to be a doctor of PhD. You want to be a PhD holder. Okay, this one is for you. This video is for you. I'll be dividing this video into two. Okay, so this first one is to introduce you to what it means to have a PhD in Brazil, and then the next one I'll be giving you different links, different opportunities that are currently open up, scholarships for PhD, and all those things that are currently running right now, and we'll call it a day. Okay, guys, let's get right. So welcome back. First of all, let's drink water. It's going to be a long topic. Guys, welcome back. The country is blessed with an amazing biodiversity and a vibrant mix of culture and tradition, and has the potential to become a genuine economic powerhouse in the future. So, I'll be giving you guys an introduction to PhD in Brazil, information on fees and funding, the university system and visas, as well as how to apply for positions when they are open. I already said it before. Okay, PhD opportunities in Brazil. What do we offer in 2023? Brazil is globally famous for its rainforest, beaches, and commitment to Joga Bonito, beautiful game, football. As you guys have insulted me the other day that I do not know Marcelo. Okay, but it's also an emerging power beginning to assert itself on the world stage, producing vital research in several areas and committing plenty of financial support to its public university system. With that in mind, it's as good a time as any for adventurous research students to think about studying a PhD in Brazil. There are a few of the best reasons to consider making the move yourself. Number one is free tuition. Brazil's prestigious public university they offer free tuition to everybody regardless of your nationality. Number two is language. While it is possible to study some Brazilian PhD in English, yes, while it is possible, but studying in Brazil is an excellent chance to brush up on your Portuguese, which is the sixth most widely spoken language in the world by native speakers, not everyone. Okay, so there's an extensive university sector. There are over 2,400 universities in Brazil, and the country they produce over 3,000 or 13,000 PhD researchers every year. That is amazing. There's a unique research prospect. There's nowhere else quite like Brazil if you want to conduct research into rainforest biodiversity. This one is for our science students. There's so many places for you guys here, or many research programs for you to do here in Brazil. Now let's talk about Brazilian universities. Brazil has a diverse higher education system with nearly 300 public universities and over 2,000 private institutions. They are the main kinds of higher institutions in Brazil: the federally managed university, state merged universities, research centers, technical higher education institutions under municipals, and private universities. I think is about six or seven of them. That is all. All these universities have acronyms in Portuguese. Like University of Rio de Janeiro is called UFRG, and those starting with UF are usually the federal universities. UFRG, University of Rio. They are mostly the competitive and prestigious. Now let's talk about university ranking in Brazil. The Brazilian universities they feature heavily in Latin America league tables, with 13 institutions in the top 25 of Latin American universities ranking according to Times Higher Education. Worldwide, several Brazilian universities feature in global league tables. Example, University of Sao Paulo, Campinas, Brasilia, University of Brasilia, Federal University of Brasilia, all of these have UF. UF meaning that they are federal universities, they are prestigious and they are public. Apparently, no private university in Brazil. I'm whispering because I don't want problems. I don't want anyone to hear me. No private university in Brazil is on the league of is on the international league, There's not none of them in private school reaching that international league. The ones that might be reaching the international league are University of Sao Paulo, Minas Gerais, and the rest I just mentioned previously. Okay, guys, now let's go to the PhD structure in Brazil. Usually, PhD lasts for 4 years and it leads to an award called doctorado. In some universities or research centers, the first year may mainly compromise of classes and you might not have to choose a thesis supervisor right away. In others, the structure will consist of a 4 years of research with some sort components throughout. Depends on what exactly you choose. The Brazilian PhD programs are challenging and rigorous, guys. Sometimes it involves teaching seminars and other responsibilities. You have to be prepared. Why am I even saying you have to be prepared? I believe you're a PhD candidate. You know what you're getting yourself into. Brazilian graduate programs they deliver around 13,000 PhD degrees per year and are continuously evaluated using an internationally recognized methodology conducted by the Brazilian Federal Agency for Support and Evaluation of Graduation Education called CAPES. CAPES. This is the body that supervises PhD here in Brazil. Assessment and examination. Let's talk about that one. The general conditions for award, for you to be awarded a PhD in Brazil, it involves number one, sitting for a qualified examination. The equivalent to be that the way we go for entrance exam in Nigeria, that's the equivalent. You have to sit for an exam. Number two is to prepare a thesis. Having the required number of credits from taught courses. This thesis examination is very similar to that of the French PhD, the defense. If you studied French, you know what I'm talking about. I studied French, which is a public examination in front of you. You will do it in front of committee and the committee will examine whether your research counts as an original contribution in a particular field of knowledge. This is most important criteria for a successful outcome, guys. Your supervisor will then chair the committee. Your supervisor will chair the committee, which will have up to other 5 examiners, all of them PhD holder themselves. As it is a public event, anyone can sit down in the audience to watch you defend your thesis. Now, this should not be surprising or this should not be new if you're Nigerian or if you're African generally, I guess. But if you're Nigerian, you went to Unilag, you went to Babcock, even Babcock, yeah, you went to Unilag. For example, I'm saying Unilag and Babcock because those are the schools I attended. When I was in Unilag and I had to defend my graduate project thesis, it was in front of many other people, okay, many other lecturers, many and my students, and I mean my course mates, because we don't have space that time in Unilag. So it was just myself and probably 4 other of my course mates, and then the supervisor that was we were going to defend the project with in a staff room. That was still okay. But when I got to Babcock and did my MBA, my God, this is like a party. It's a party that you didn't invite people to. Okay, so it's like a all with other PhD. I wasn't even doing PhD. I was in MBA. PhD holders, doctors, all doctors, my lecturers, all doctors, the ones that are teaching me and the ones that aren't teaching me, all seated as panel of judges. And then there is me on the stage with audience at the back, like I'm acting a movie on the stage and I'm talking, defending my project. It's the same thing. So if you went to Babcock, I won't say Unilag because I don't know, I might say Unilag too because other faculty might have done their own this way. But my own in Unilag that year wasn't like that. It was very pretty, it was pretty direct. It was just in a staff room or in a room, with the invited person and invited supervisor, and that was all. Invited committee, and that was all. But this one in Babcock was different. It's the same thing you'll be experiencing here in Brazil, okay? And everything will be done in Portuguese. Okay, let's talk about fees and funding. There are no tuition fees for Brazilian students at a public university. A right established in the Brazilian Federal Constitution, you cannot pay school fees in public school. What's more, most public universities they extend this right to international students. So if you're an international student and you're watching this, you are in luck. Private universities though will charge you tuition fee in the region of Brazilian real 1,500 to 2,500 monthly. That's about $280 to $400 or $500. You may also be charged an application fee at both public and private universities. Okay, other costs may include international student health insurance, student services, sports such as maybe sport facilities, games, student club, and the rest. Your student card will be given to you free of charge to access discounted public transportation and meals at the university restaurant. That's all the things you enjoy being a Brazilian student. Scholarship. There are numbers of scholarship that are available to study in Brazil, but a large number are for 1 year study abroad. For example, if you're a PhD student and you want to be like a part of a joint PhD or as a visiting PhD researcher, like I have one coming in this April, is a visiting PhD researcher. He's coming from Paris. He's studying in Paris, PhD in Paris, but he'll be coming to Sao Paulo University, which I'll be going there probably a few minutes for you guys. Oh my god! Yeah, so we're going to be going to Sao Paulo University very soon, hopefully. Okay, so he's going to Sao Paulo University for his PhD research there, and this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about here. Study for just 1 year abroad. I don't know its duration here in Brazil, but that is that about that. You can do this as a PhD student. Your university or your department may also have funds for your research. Okay, so the biggest expense that you should worry about if you're studying in a public university will be associated to your living cost, your neighborhood you want to live, the kind of apartment you want, where it is, and all those things on you. Okay, embassies, consulates, and government agencies, particularly for those of other Portuguese speaking countries, sometimes they make bilateral agreements to provide bursaries to study in Brazil. Okay, so if your country already speak Portuguese, there'll be a bilateral agreement between your country and Brazil. So you'll be able to get funding. Brazilian Student Exchange Program for Graduates, Pec-Pg, is a program run by Brazilian agency, the CAPES I told you about earlier, and it provides financial aid for masters and PhD students to increase the qualification of professors, researchers, professionals, and graduates in developing countries, third world countries like most of Africa. Okay, so if you want to know if your country is eligible, I'm going to put the link on the bio or no on the description so that you can check from the Brazilian Ministry of Education website and check if your country is qualified to enjoy all of this. Okay, so other scholarship that I heard about or I saw earlier is called Cleanliness Fellowship for Community Forestry Research. This one is for science students. Link will also be on my bio. I think the deadline is for August. Do well to check it before that time. Another scholarship program will be Fulbright. It offers grants to American citizens. We already know those ones are very lucky people. They are allowed to study PhD in Brazil, while the Council on International Educational Exchange has two kinds of grants available for American students to study abroad. So I'm always wondering why people always say that Brazilians are running away from their country. That blah blah blah. Who's coming to Brazil? Who's coming to Brazil? My dear, Americans too are coming to study here in Brazil. It's free education. Nobody wants educational loan or paying school fees after you've graduated 5 years, 10 years ago. Nobody wants to be involved in that kind of shit. Okay, so even Americans come here to enjoy this benefit. So there are different scholarships for American students and for you African students. Find out on my description of this video, if your country is allowed to qualify for these scholarships. Now let's talk about applying for a PhD in Brazil. In this Brazil, you need a masterado. What's a masterado? It's the equivalent of masters here in Brazil. You need it to start a PhD. This is the norm in Brazil, and I think it's a common thing in every other country. Europe, Africa, and overseas, you need to have a bachelor's degree, master's for you to qualify to study for PhD. Please note that the degrees considered as lato sensus postgraduate qualification are not suitable for entry into PhD here in Brazil. Program degree like MBA programs are classified as cento lato sensus. Lato sensus. So if you have an MBA in Nigeria or something like that, you are not qualified. You need a stricto sensus, a master's degree to qualify for PhD here in Brazil. Okay, what are the entry requirements? Applicants to a PhD program often have to take an entrance exam. I've said it before, but check with your university, please, as there are also different selection process per universities. Entrance examination, when they are required, may include a written test. There's always a subject specific, an interview during which the panel assess your motivations, why you want to come to this school, why you want a PhD from them or with them. Okay, as for most countries, application for the majority of postgraduate courses can be made online via the individual university website. University of your choice, you make application right there on their website. Sometimes you have to contact your chosen department and ask them that you want a form to be sent to you by email so that you can register for a course before deadline. Deadline for application for postgraduate study will also vary depending on the university, but can be really early. And remember that the academic year starts in February for PhD students. So make sure you check with admission departments of the individual institutions where your application needs to be submitted. Okay, part of the application, you will need to provide an application form. The application form message the school you want to go to that you need their form. You will need official copies of your diplomas, undergraduate and postgraduate transcripts, a copy of your master's thesis, a CV, your reference letters from your supervisors and other lecturers that taught you in masters, a letter from an academic who has agreed to be your supervisor here in Brazil. You have to look for a supervisor, a copy of the receipt showing that you have paid application fee where it is applicable. The selection process will usually consist of reviewing your qualification, your professional experience, and the relevance of the course chosen for your future career. Okay, some universities have two-stage application process, and if you're selected, you may be asked to attend an interview. After writing an exam, you may be asked to, you know, either in person or in video call. Language requirements. Most examination and courses are delivered in Portuguese. I am sorry. So it is essential that you have adequate level of Portuguese proficiency. To demonstrate your knowledge of Portuguese, you have to provide a CELPIBRA certificate, which is the only Portuguese language test recognized here in Brazil. For PhD students, it's a small number of departments that are willing to let you apply in English. However, you will require to take some Portuguese before you start your studies and for your everyday life. Not all, just a few, okay? It depends on the course. PhD offers both pre-sessional and in-sessional intensive Portuguese courses. So you're lucky if you are allowed to apply in English, you might have to continue in Portuguese, probably in session or in section Portuguese classes for your PhD. Okay. Now let's talk about student visas. When you're admission, student visa is the next step for you. Okay, as a student, you should apply for the Vietnam 4 study visa. Vietnam 4 study visa. These kinds of visa they're issued for up to a year, but you can be like they can be renewed with the federal police at the end of the validity or like the period of validity. Okay, you need to apply for your student visa in person at the local Brazilian embassy or consulate. Okay, when you get your admission, you have to go and apply for your visa. It doesn't equate visa immediately you get admission. Okay, so you have to go and apply. You book an appointment in advance. The application process can take 2 to 3 months, so make sure you give yourself plenty of time to arrange everything. And also classes might begin earlier, so you need to start applying for visa immediately you get your admission. At your interview for visa, you need to present some documents like your passport, a passport size photograph, complete visa application form. You fill a form online on the website of Brazil. You go to police check, I think police report, or they call it in Nigeria, a copy of your return flight ticket. You need a return flight ticket, evidence that you have enough money to support yourself during these studies, a letter from your prospective Brazilian university. Your school has to write you a letter. Once you're in Brazil, you have to register with the federal police within 90 days of your arrival. This is very important, please. Police registration is very necessary to formalize your stay and to get an ID card for foreigners so that you don't have problems here in Brazil. Unfortunately, you are not permitted to undertake any paid work in Brazil. You are in the country on a student visa. You are not permitted. It is prohibited. When you are at the point of requiring a visa renewal, you have to submit an application to the federal police 30 days before the expiration date. Okay. Next step would be that people want to stay in Brazil after they gain their degree. Well, there are plenty of opportunities for you to further research at the country's universities. In Brazil's universities, of course, Brazil happens to be one of the largest economy in Latin America and one of the emerging BRICS power. So you can apply your newfound research skill in many varied, business sectors across the nation and probably beyond. Okay, but you will need to apply for a Vitem 5 work visa at the Brazilian Ministry of Justice and Public Security. I hope this video was helpful, guys. Okay, this is the entire introduction about PhD going on here in Brazil. Okay, sorry about my bag. I kept it there so I can keep an eye on it. Yeah, I don't want to lose anything here because I'm on a floor where there's no one. So because I wanted quiet and peace so that I can discuss PhD with you guys. This is my first time discussing PhD. Okay, so this is all the information you will need as a PhD candidate, a new PhD student, an intending prospective PhD student. Okay. There's no age limit, obviously. There's no age limit. Same for masters, just undergraduate that has, hey, see mosquito. Just undergraduate that has age limit. Okay, guys. I hope this was helpful. This is an introduction to PhD. Furthermore, I'll keep doing videos and giving you opportunities, giving you links and different things, applications, scholarship links, different ones opened for PhD to apply to come to study in Brazil. Okay, guys, thank you guys for always watching my video. Thank you guys for liking and taking me to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. I love you. Ciao.